Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our webinar today on housing affordability, which is a pressing topic plaguing Indian real estate today. I'm Abhishek Bhadra, Head of Research at Magic Bricks. Joining us today is Mr. Karan Kumar, Chief Marketing Officer at BPTP Limited, Mr. Rakesh Sethia, President, Rustomjee Group, Professor Prashant Das from IIM Ahmedabad, Balaji Ramchandra, Head of Marketing at Suparnika Group, and Siddharth Mal, Head of Marketing at Auto Realty. Welcome, gentlemen, to this discussion. We will be discussing, as I said, a topic which is very relevant in today's market. And before we open the panel for discussion, I will be giving a brief context on what this report entails and what are the key findings that we have unearthed using the analysis. So we will be focusing on three things. First is what are the most affordable cities in terms of property buying today, and which are the most unaffordable cities in terms of property buying. The way we have calculated these are price to income ratios and EMI to income ratios, which are function of property prices and mean household income in all these cities in India, and the percentage of EMI payments that are paid by people who are buying properties on loan, on a monthly basis. Secondly, we will also discuss how affordability has changed post COVID. We saw, a changing trend in the pricing scenario of real estate versus the growth of income, and hence how it has impacted affordability over the last 3 years. And of course, we will also be discussing how the luxury segment is driving demand today and also creating, a segment, an important niche in the market today. So we will be starting with, what the main finding of this report. So if I look at the least affordable cities today, it is MMR, Gurgaon, Delhi, and Hyderabad. These are the four cities where the price to income ratios are, severely in the unaffordable range, which is more than 7. And if I look at the global benchmark, it is 5. So anything which is above 5 comes under the unaffordable category. If I talk of the affordable cities, Chennai, Ahmedabad, and Kolkata are the cities where these ratios are within 5, and also your EMI to income ratio falls under 40 to 45%, which is uh, well under control. Rising property prices, interest rates, and of course, strong buyer sentiment, rising demand, reducing inventory has led to sustained increase in prices, and of course income has not been able to keep par with the sustained increase in property prices. The other important segment that is turning up and that is kind of drawing a lot of heat from the market is the premium and luxury segment. We are going to see that in the next slide. uh, the important data highlight that I want to put forward to this panel is while 22 and 23 saw a sustained increase in the supply of luxury properties, demand was able to keep up with this pace of supply. However, if I look at the last 12 months, there seems to be an supply overhang of premium properties, and demand seems to be tapering. Right now, obviously, this means that in the near future, uh, either demand is going to catch up with supply, wherein we might see the prices moderate, but that seems unlikely because generally, if I look at historical trend, the last couple of decades, uh, demand is not generally very high in this segment. And since we are already in a stage where supply is overpowering demand, this is a very interesting trend that needs to watch out. And if this gap widens where supply surpasses demand, then there could be a case of supply overhang, and you know we could be seeing a case of prices drastically coming down because uh, demand will not catch up. Another interesting highlight I want to point is if you look at this chart, the the last 2 years, which is 22 mid till 2024, where we are currently, uh, the affordability has kind of become very bad in the sense that the PI ratios have increased substantially. Right now, why this has happened is while between 20 and 21, when the COVID phase was, at its peak, we saw prices not rising rapidly. Income was low, hence 21 was when affordability was again a problematic area. However, when the pandemic ended, which was 21 end and mid of 22, that's when income started to rise. We saw, employment opportunities opening up, the job market opening up, unemployment rates going down. However, the property prices saw a sustained increase. It did not increase at a very sharp pace. Hence, 2022 was when the PI ratio was within the manageable limit of 5 for most of the cities. However, starting 22, when prices started rapidly rising, that is when this affordability crisis started creeping in the market. So that sets a context for the discussion today. Uh, I would now like to open the panel for discussion. Let's start with Professor Das. Professor Das, as a key stakeholder in the industry and as a key academician, how do you see this affordability crisis plaguing the real estate market today? And what do you feel the long-term implications of this affordability problem is?
Thank you, Abhishek. Thank you for a wonderful opportunity to be a part of this panel. I see there are a lot of people here for whom real estate is a phenomenon that they've been there and done that. Uh, I am a student of real estate, and my perceptions, my opinions need to be vetted by what is actually going on in the industry. So that's a disclaimer. But because I'm a student, I also take a slightly dispassionate view on what is going on in the market. I take a more academic view on it. And I would like to start with congratulating you on such a wonderful report that you have come up with. We have been engaging in various discussions recently, and I really like the way Magic Bricks has been collecting data and analyzing it and presenting it the way that is useful both for the supply and demand side. So affordability and attractiveness of the asset class called housing is a very enigmatic discussion. It's enigmatic and it's paradoxical in nature. Uh, Affordability talks about consumption of housing. Attractiveness of the asset class talks about investment in housing. And our narratives have to be very clear, both from the supply side and the demand side. The graph that you showed, for example, about the luxury housing segment and how supply and demand have crisscrossed in recent few quarters, is not surprising to academics. When we talk about investment in efficient markets like financial assets, you do not expect this kind of a cyclicality in supply and demand. Efficient markets are where both supply and demand sides catch up with price evolution very fast. That does not happen in markets of real assets like housing. A new information arrives. Let's say there was COVID that spurred a lot of demand in housing market. That information arrival uh, was not quickly capitalized either by the demand side nor by the supply side. And hence, both sides lead to overreaction. And that overreaction by design will bring cyclicality in the market. So, first thing that we as stakeholders of this market need to make our peace with is that cyclicality is a part of the process, and nowhere in the coming few decades we will be able to address it. There will be times when prices will be in upswing, and there will be times when prices will come back in the downswing. So, when it comes to the matter of affordability, it's an enigma because as you rightly pointed out, the price to income ratio of 5 already is on the higher side.
Right.
In the US, this ratio is usually 3. In India, we have again made peace with the reality that prices have, their level of prices has already gone to a certain level that we have to adjust our definition of affordability. Um, so then again, consumption and investment debate comes back to social versus financial debate. Consumption is a social decision. When a household comes ahead and says, I want to buy a home, it has to be the household has to be sure that it is a social decision that they are making. On the other hand, when you look at financial analysis of buying versus renting, that also is slightly lopsided because they do not look at the social side of home ownership. all they focus on is the financial performance. When you look at the ratios of rent to price ratio and how they have evolved in different markets, almost in most of these cases, buying a home does not make a financial sense. But it does not make a financial sense when you look at it as an investment decision. But is buying a home always an investment decision? No. When we talk about countries like Europe, this is a legit debate between buying and renting, because in some places it's totally unaffordable, and people who rent it may use their saving to increase their wealth more than the wealth of people who own a home. But in India, we have issues with tenure security. If you are a tenant, you're always exposed to the whims and fancies of the landlord. At the same time, if you're a landlord, you are exposed to irrational and sometimes irresponsible behavior of the tenants. So both the sides are exposed to the phenomenon where lease will be recycled too often and the turnover will be very fast. That messes up with how certain types of households in certain professions and occupations have envisioned their future to be. So there are legitimate social motivations for people to go and buy a home, but these motivations are social in nature. And at the same time, financial analysis has to respect the fact that our Model Tenancy Act is still a Model Tenancy Act. It has really not been enforced yet. So neither the landlord side nor the tenant side is very well protected. So even if it may not make a very strong financial sense, it may have other benefits to go and buy a home. So in short, I would like to put this argument on the table to other panelists that in most cases, buying a home may not be a financially prudent decision. So we should be very sure that it is a consumption decision, and the consumption decision may have merits in it. So I'll pass the baton to other panelists.
Great. So you actually started a very important point. You put an important point, which is also a relevant topic today, which is buying versus rent. And I would now like to go on to Mr. Karan Kumar. Karan, what is your take on the NCR market when we say that Gurugram and Delhi are highly unaffordable markets? How do you see the split of consumers today? I mean, end users versus investors. How do you see the customers? What kind of customers are coming and buying properties today?
So there is obviously, Abhishek, thank you first of all for having me on the panel. And a big hello to Rakesh, Prashant, Balaji, and Siddharth. Great report. Was thoroughly enjoying reading that report, and I actually shared it with a lot of colleagues of mine as well internally for them to kind of have a look at this, because in the real estate sector, very few people do the kind of thorough job that you guys have done in collecting this kind of information and putting it together, and making it very reader friendly, not too complicated. So thank you very much, and my compliments on that. Coming specific to the question on how this is playing out, well, there's always been a certain investor participation in the market. That's not new. It has been there. It will continue to be there. Consumption in the last couple of years, especially post-COVID, was also largely led by end use. We saw a lot of movement happening from other parts of the NCR into places like Gurgaon. A lot of people who were first-time users and movers into the condominiums establishment, earlier living in kotis and independent houses, because of just the safety, security setup, infrastructure that the condominiums provided, especially at the time of COVID and all the distress that happened. There are certainly parts of Gurgaon where demand is still higher than supply and has not outstripped supply. And in those kind of places, the prices per square foot will continue to increase. And I see that staying for a while until the time that the supply actually does outstrip demand. Yet there are other micro markets in Gurgaon or Noida or Faridabad where the supply has clearly outstripped demand. All of us are very familiar with what's happened in Greater Noida over a period of time, not just in the last couple of years, but over a period of time. And that's a very typical example of where you have a huge inventory overhang as demand or supply outstrips demand. So certain corrections at a micro market level will happen, have already been happening, and shall I say post-COVID, those corrections have been accelerated. And yet there will be micro markets which will continue to see a lot of demand as you go along. So in Gurgaon, for example, last couple of years, a very conversation central micro market has been Golf Course Road extension. I'm just taking one example. There are many, but I'm just taking one example, and you've seen a lot of interest from both developers as well as consumers coming in that particular micro market, and so does the investor. So investor does follow suit because investor, the basic business model there will be to flip investments and to get a better ROI. Uh, Yet there are certain other micro markets within Gurgaon which uh, where the pricing has continued to hold a very strong premium. Um, Golf course extension itself, sorry, Golf course road itself, a lot of phase 4, phase 5 on the Gurgaon side has continued to hold prices. And I see absolutely no reason for any kind of a softening to take place in those kind of micro markets. Yeah. So I think at the end of the day, it's a very simple demand supply kind of a game, uh, where you will see consistent overhangs and consistent supplies outstripping demand. You will see a certain softening and correction. And yet in other places you won't, right? So I think this conversation needs to happen micro market by micro market. At one point of it, it's very difficult to homogenize. It's very difficult to homogenize Gurgaon. Forget trying to homogenize Delhi NCR, because
Hmm.
Gurgaon responds very differently from Faridabad versus Greater Noida versus Delhi itself. Yeah, so that's what I'll say. I think you need to play it by the ear.
Thanks, Karan, for that. And to your point, that Greater Noida has been growing rapidly. I mean, we are seeing a lot of. So, if I just speak of Greater Noida, we have seen a 45% increase in prices in the last 12 months. So, that talks a lot about where we are today in terms of price rises. Thanks, Karan. I'll now come to Mr. Rakesh. Rakesh, we are seeing in MMR there is a splurt of supply which is coming in the premium and luxury segment, and that seems to be driving the supply in this market the last few quarters now. And of course, so how do you see the consumer demand today? Are they forced to buy luxury by the developers today, or do you see actual demand for luxury from the consumer's end? What is your take on the market and the demand perception of consumers today, specifically to MMR?
Yeah, so hi Abhishek, and first of all, thank you for including me in this panel. And my good wishes to all the other fellow panelists also. Karan has shared some very good points, and also Professor Prashant Das also shared a few good points. Now, Karan, let me compliment you for this report, because I think after a long time, I saw one report which actually caused us to have a slightly contrarian view, because all this while we've been looking at the report that economy is doing very well, the infrastructures are in good situation, good shape, the stock market is doing very well, a lot of inflow of NRI money is coming in, and so things have actually been looking very rosy and bright from the real estate level. Now, of course, we've also been analyzing data, and we've also been looking at various kinds of demand and supply situation across various segments that we cater to. And in fact, so this kind of information about the supply is rising in premium, super premium, and luxury segments. We've been capturing this information in the last 3-4 quarters. Now, I really hope that your report does not become a lead indicator in probably, what could be triggered as a downward spiral in the times to come. And I
Yeah.
really hope that, it is just an intermediary report. Now, with this, let me just draw the attention of this panel to a situation which was pre-COVID. Now, when I look at the inventory in Mumbai market, it is generally in the range of about 6 to 8 quarters across different segments. And when we talk about Mumbai segments, so Mumbai MMR, which is Mumbai Metropolitan Region, somewhat like the NCR, we've got below 1 crore, which is the entry segment, then 1 to 3 crores, which is called the mid segment, and 3 to 7 crores is the aspirational segment, and 7 to 15 crore is premium, and 15 plus is the super premium segment. Now, when we look at what was the inventory situation pre-COVID level, it was hovering at about 3 to 4 years. So that means that the inventory is used to range between let's say a 16 quarters to about 20 quarters kind of inventory, which today has come down to about 6 to 8 quarters inventory. Now, I think we will need to understand whether this trend of the inventory rising, that means more supply coming in, it would have an impact on the inventory level. So when I look at the inventory level, it is only about 6 to 8 quarters, which actually was 16 to 20 quarters some time back. So whether it is a temporary phenomena, the demand is going to rise and this supply will come down, because you require some kind of inventory to be available in the market for the buyers who have sufficient choice of inventory when they go out to buy. And at this point of time, I wouldn't really like to alarm, or I wouldn't like to think that it is actually a difficult situation. Because yesterday only there was another report by Credai Natcom. So my board of directors are out in Sydney at this point of time. So there's that Natcom's summit which is happening in Sydney. So they've also released a report through Colliers, which is saying that so many fundamentals are in place, and the infrastructure growth, availability of finances, GDP, and all that. Residential, commercial, and all that. So I think so. Thanks for flagging this point. This definitely has registered, a point. I think we need to continue to watch this space with what rate the inventory is growing with respect to the demand. But so long as it remains within the range of about 12 to 14 quarters, that I think would be a healthy situation for us to have the inventory. And with that kind of inventory, rather, when I look at Mumbai market, this is the mid market, which is 1 to 3 CR market, where the inventory is gone down. And, so market has got fewer inventory as compared to the demand. So I think it is the course correction which is yet to happen. Another thing, when we look at the premium, super premium, and luxury markets dominating, it is happening in the other product categories also. So yesterday in Economic Times, on the front page, there was a report about automobiles, where all premium luxury car players are saying that the waiting period for the luxury segment vehicles has grown, and there is higher than ever waiting period for the luxury segments in automobiles, right? Which just contributes to about, so which has also grown. So luxury segment within the premium segment has grown, which is defined as 1.5 CR upwards automobiles. That's grown from 15% of the segment to 25% of the total size of the market. So I think there are both kinds of indicators coming in, but thanks for flagging this. I think this remains a very important area for us to continue to monitor. I really hope that it is kind of controlled as we go along.
Thanks, Rakesh, for those wonderful insights. Obviously, we are becoming an aspirational economy in all segments and sectors, and real estate is no different. I'll now go to Siddharth. Siddharth, we are seeing sustained increase and and which this is talked about, the rise of Hyderabad as a premium residential real estate today. And if I look at the last couple of years, especially post-COVID, with the kind of GCCs coming up and commercial establishments opening up, residential market has not been any different. How do you see affordability? And in the short duration, we are already seeing an affordability crisis happening in the market. As a developer, do you have any specific plans or strategies to tackle this issue, or do you see this as just a short-term phenomena in the Hyderabad market?
Okay, thank you, Abhishek, for inviting me, and I would like to compliment Mr. Das, Karan, and Rakesh for giving such a good insight. For me, it's just been, say, about 4 or 5 months in Hyderabad. As a marketer, I've been working in Delhi NCR market, so I was very glued to hear Karan and other panelists as well. So, coming to your question, before coming to question, I would just like to extend a couple of observations which Mr. Rakesh mentioned. So, so affordability is a very broad term. It varies from class to class and location to location. Whatever your report mentioned, it gave me a clear indication that a market like, I was sitting with my colleague, he's from Chennai, and there the affordability is still 30 lakh is the affordability there. But a market like Hyderabad, 1 CR has become a new 50 lakh now.
Right.
Right. And coming to Mr. Rakesh, I worked with Audi. So I remember a customer who was buying 1 CR plus, for them, a 40, 50 lakh was an affordable category car, for example, a Q3. So now, a market like Hyderabad, we all know that post-COVID, because of people having a sentiment of owning a home, looking forward to spacious homes, and especially Delhi NCR market, MMR market, Hyderabad market have grown because of the price have grown, and people are looking for bigger sizes. Yes, Hyderabad as a market, especially in micro market, there's a lot of supply of I would say mid segment, premium segment, luxury segment. So here in Hyderabad market, the premium segment, the mid segment start from 1.5 to the mid, then so on and so forth. But still here, the affordability now is the new 1 CR. You will not find in major market, in micro market of Hyderabad, where the product is, you have ability of below 1 CR. Except there are other outskirt market where you will still see some affordability option, but I would still not bank upon, because those are not offered from reputed developer and so on and so forth. So this is the present scenario in Hyderabad. So the crux is, as a marketer, for me, the 1 CR is the new affordable segment now.
Agree with you, Siddharth. But the larger problem that we are facing is supply is definitely coming in the premium segment. However, the household income is not increasing, at that pace. If I look at the last 4 years, the mean household income has just about increased by 6.2% CAGR, and prices have increased by 9.5%, and the same phenomena applies for Hyderabad. So, of course, supply is coming in the premium segment, but how does the common man afford a property? And I mean, just asking from you, since we are talking about Hyderabad,
Yeah.
this applies to all cities. So how do you see what innovative methods are developers coming up with, or is there any policy that the government can help or intervene by which affordability can come down?
So see, affordability in like your report mentioned, affordability in market like Chennai, Ahmedabad, Kolkata is still
It's
managed.
low. Yeah, it's correct.
So from your house price to your income ratio, from EMI to your income ratio. Now, I'll give you some practical example. Now if you talk about market like, I'll talk about Hyderabad. I've worked in NCR as well. Now, yes, government is also supporting in terms of subsidy and and also in terms of schemes and all. For that matter, RBI is also supporting some in terms of loan eligibility criteria. But what I've seen in market like NCR and Hyderabad is like, because of limited option of under construction option properties, developer end up launching different phases, right? And all these things led to a increase in price. Especially, if I see in my present product mix, because of less option for developer or for consumer having under construction segment, and then leading up to launching in phase 2, phase 3, has given them the option of launching in higher prices. Now, in terms of developers supporting affordability, I think we need to take a support from government, and apart from subsidy and I think if we can have a very lucrative payment plan where we can involve the customer or TG at a very earlier stage, and then that's a support we can give to the consumer to help them to probably end up buying, even if he's want to buy in a mid segment. So a lucrative payment plan, all that stuff can help them to be a part of this ecosystem.
Sure. I'll now come to Balaji. So if I look at Bangalore market, the last couple of quarters we saw demand kind of moderating. Sales transactions have just gone down slightly. However, prices seem to be still rising. I mean, there seems to be no stopping the property prices to rise. Of course, that is also triggering major concern amongst home buyers, wherein they are finding it increasingly difficult to afford properties in Bangalore. Uh, as a key developer in Bangalore, what is your thought on the market today in terms of demand and of course the larger affordability concern that we're talking about today?
Hi, good morning, one and all. And it was wonderful insights from Mr. Rakesh and Prashant, and Karan and Siddharth. Thanks for one and all. Okay, now driving back to the Bangalore market. See, affordable housing segment in Bangalore real estate market has seen substantial growth, driven by cities expanding force, your urban migration, and third is your government initiatives. However, there are specific nuances that that shape this market segment, Abhishek, especially compared to another cities. The key insight is one is high demand on a peripheral areas of Bangalore. Example like emerging suburbs. Bangalore's affordability lies largely in its suburb and the peripheral areas. I'm very sure most of the leaders here, the panel executives would know about the geographical location of Bangalore. Sarjapur, Whitefield, Devanalli, Hoskote, and I'm dive deeping into the micro markets here and including the electronic city. These locations offer affordable price points compared to central areas where land prices have escalated significantly. And to shift in buyers preference changed different dynamics in Bangalore market. Home buyers, especially first time home buyers, prefer the suburbs due to the larger living space, proximity is there to their convenience, and also the growing social infrastructures. So this is two. And 3 year in Bangalore, if you look at, and especially company like Sopranica projects in last 23 years, we have been consistently delivering only affordable homes. And somebody who's been in that sector for a very longer duration, it is very, very challenging. And you see a lot of Tier 2 and Tier 3 companies, post having lot of crisis in real estate markets have vanished away and they have literally got faded away. But Sopranica has played a very, very vital role in all those sectors, and we have been consistently doing it. Third, as Mr. Siddharth said, 1 crore has become 50 lakh at Hyderabad. How efficiently you deliver affordable homes here in Bangalore matters a lot. The largest demand, if you look at migrant population and first-time home buyers, plays a very, very vital role in Bangalore market, Abhishek.
That's true. I'll come back to Professor Das. Professor, not being a key stakeholder, but also not being on the ground has its benefits. Now, from a macroeconomic perspective, talking about real estate, of course, it still isn't an industry. It doesn't have industry status. But if the government needs to focus on this aspect of affordability from a macroeconomic perspective, what key indicators should we look at in the short to medium term to kind of, apart from of course prices and income and rent, what are some of the other indicators that you feel needs to be monitored to be able to gauge affordability better?
Right. So I have been listening to all the experts in the panel. I've been taking notes, and you asked me the perfect question, Abhishek. Thank you. I think the outlook is hopeful. The way our regulatory framework has been evolving, I hope to see affordability to be an even more real phenomenon in India going forward. So how do you make something affordable? The price of the money has to go down, and B, the price of the asset has to go down. When it comes to price of the money going down, our mortgage markets are marred with opaque underwriting by lenders. Lenders often are unable to assess their risk in a mortgage contract. And that is where a bunch of institutions are developing that will help rationalize the mortgage market. So access to mortgage capital and the cost of mortgage capital will go down if there is more transparency. So there are new institutions who are coming up. There are many prop tech enterprises that are coming up who will help support mortgage insurance. And none of this is something to appear in remote future. This is hopefully going to happen in the next 5, 6, 7 years. NHB is coming up with a new company called RDCL, which will start securitizing mortgages for India. That will increase A, the liquidity of mortgage contract, and B, supply of capital to the mortgage market, which will in turn reduce the cost of mortgage loans for people. So money will be cheaper, money will be more available. Second is relatively a wicked problem. It's not that homes are unaffordable because a developer or builder decides to make it unaffordable. A developer or builder also is paying a lot of cost somewhere, and majority of that cost is the cost of land. If you look at urban real estate development projects, it won't be a surprise if 40, 45, 50, sometimes up to 60% of the project valuation goes to the landowner. So the windfall goes to the one who owns land. So developers who own land, yes, end up reaping more profits. But developers who are signing, let's say, JDA with a third-party landowner are not necessarily the cause of lack of affordability. I think this is one area that the federal government has recognized needs to be rationalized. We have a bunch of initiatives. The time will tell how effective they are, but in intent, when we start mapping our land, when we start recording land transactions and titles, it may be perhaps a medium-term project, but that will also bring in a lot of certainty in underwriting land transactions, which may perhaps lead to lands becoming more affordable. Right now, people, lands have a lot of premium that perhaps they shouldn't have. If we have a stronger handle on how land prices are moving and how land transactions are going on, I think that will help. And the third is a problem that as a nation, we need to work on. I'm not sure if this is perhaps the only forum where we need to discuss it. And that relates to how our state governments are funded. If you look at our municipal bodies, a large part of their revenue comes from property taxes. Large part of their revenue comes from title transfer and stamp duty. And do they have an incentive to rationalize these markets for their own good reasons? We need to somehow monetize these institutions. But if property becomes so affordable, how will you pay for the municipal expenses? So I think the first two problems are addressable, and there are efforts being made there. On the third front, also there have been talks at the policy level on how to make sure that local governments and municipalities are able to rationalize and make their revenue streams more efficient. But I think that is a longer term project to work on. So all of these factors on, and the fourth, of course, Abhishek, would be litigations. In a particular locality, how much civil litigation related to properties you see. The statistic says that around 66 to 70% of civil litigations in India relate to property. So if there are certain markets where the judiciary is able to clear out those cases much faster, may also be markets which will be more agile in the supply and demand dynamics. So I think all of these things would add to affordability, if that answers your question.
Great, thanks, Professor Das. I would now come back to Karan and then to Rakesh and Siddharth and Balaji. Karan, to start with you, any key policy measures or government intervention that you see could help this problem today, that developers can ask the government, or any help from the central government, state government, that could help this problem?
Yes, I think first of all, I must compliment Professor Das. His points number 2 and 3 in particular, some of my favorite points, which is one, figure out what's happening on the land front. What kind of transactions, what kind of pricing is happening there, and if you have some kind of a handle of regulating that space, monitoring that space better, it'll obviously have an effect on what's happening on the property or in the the subsequent part of the value chain in real estate. And the second part, of course, is the point that Professor made on the cost of registrations, titleships, transfers, and how that needs to be a very important part that needs to be kind of relooked at and see how those aspects. So thank you, Professor, for bringing out those two particular points. And you brought out forward these two are personally my favorite. And I'm saying that personally as a real estate individual, not representing necessarily either my past working with DLF or my current working with BPT. But it's a personal comment that I make. But I think, Abhishek, to your point, well, we've discussed a lot about how there are various factors that are leading to cost of real estate or affordable housing becoming more and more difficult as we go along. Um, I think there are also things that we can speak about or talk about or discuss about as real estate developers, which can make the long-term cost-saving features and the cost of ownership of a house slightly more affordable. Yeah, so there is obviously an entry price which seems to be now peaking and going towards the asset, but I'm saying in long terms, there could be certain features that could be incorporated at the end of the real estate developer itself without going to the government. I know you asked me a question on what more we can ask the government to do, but I'm saying even before going there, there are things that we can deal with at our own level, right?
Sure.
And if developers can be more conscious about that, that's a good space to start with as well. Energy, and there's some 5 points that I want to quickly touch upon. I won't take too much time, but energy efficient systems is something all of us need to be looking at far more closely and how we can incorporate as part of our project, because when you have HVAC systems, when you have LED lighting, when you have smart thermostats, all of them can contribute towards the consumption of or low consumption of energy as you go along. And you and I know that that leads to a lower cost of ownership as you go along, right? Also, as developers, what is the implementation of renewable energy sources in our projects? We know that the government is providing certain SOPs. The government is providing certain incentives, whether it's got to do with solar power generation, rainwater harvesting, etc., etc. If some of us can look at that more proactively, then of course it again goes on and helps in reducing the longer term cost of ownership thing, right? Sustainable materials being used. When you use certain sustainable materials, like in cases where it permits, recycled steel, bamboo, low VOC paints, the need for regular and long-term maintenance goes down. And when that happens, then again your cost of ownership over the longer period kind of comes down. I can speak about certain materials that are used at a prefabrication and a modular construction level as well. I can talk about how design and planning efficiency can help in optimizing natural light and ventilation, which can reduce your lower energy bills as you go along, because the need for artificial lighting and artificial cooling kind of reduces. Smart home technology is not just about having fancy gadgets, but it's also about systems that closely monitor consumption of energy 24/7, right? So how do you optimize energy based on what you want? If whatever you don't monitor, you don't optimize. Whatever you do monitor, you end up optimizing. Starting from a fitness tracker on your wristband to smart technologies in home. Yeah, it's not just about gadget. Similarly, I think that the emphasis that we may or may not put on insulation and weatherproofing. Now, good emphasis on insulation on weatherproofing again helps you reduce your heating and cooling costs if that's done right. Yeah. You spoke about government subsidies earlier. So I'm just saying the reason I wanted to make this segue is also to kind of to say that while there are certain factors which may or may not be under our control, given how land prices are moving, given how interest costs are going. But there are some of the other things that can be done at the developer level. We don't necessarily be as helpless as as anything. We can do some things to increase the lower or to lower the long-term cost of ownership of assets as well.
Great. Thanks, Karan, for that. Obviously, you pressed on an important topic that sustainability and green energy consumption reduces the overall cost, and obviously affordability can improve for the end user. Coming to Rakesh, Rakesh, your take on any SOPs or any incentives from the government that could help ease out the affordability crisis.
Okay, so if you look at the major cost line items for a real estate, so it is the cost of land, stroke FSIs, or the approvals that we have to take, then the finance cost, and then the taxations, right? So these three things basically make up for about 70 to 80% of the total cost. another thing is that real estate is the only product category where you almost sell first and then you make later. So the project is developed over a period of 3 to 5 years, depending upon the size of the project, but most of the inventory actually is sold in advance. So any rising input cost only makes the case difficult for the builders. So to that extent, I mean, builders are actually, they come into a difficult situation. Also, when you look at world over, government plays a very, very important role in developing housing, especially the social housing, especially the housing at the entry level or for the masses. Government plays that role. I think this financial year, government has started an initiative with some subsidy of 2,20,000 crores. We all understand, that may not be a massive amount, but that's somewhat of a start. A beginning has been made. I think the government is trying to take a lot of efforts in affordable housing, and also the government's housing for all initiatives. A lot of initiatives are being taken. I think India as a country has got its own challenges, own difficulties. Government also has to balance and fund its own budgets. So I think among various priorities, if certain things can be done, I think it is basically the taxation approval process. Currently, a lot of projects get stuck in the approval process, and the delays also cause a lot of financial burden on the projects. So I think these are a few things which probably, if a single window clearance could happen, the faster approvals could come in, and government should give it an industry status. The cost of lending is extremely high. It is upwards of 10% for most of the real estate players, unless they come from the industry background, the corporate background. So I think these are a few things which probably will need to be done continuously over next maybe a decade or so, and then we can see some positives start.
Great.
So if I can just quickly just add, I'll just quickly say what Rakesh just said. I'm saying I just yesterday was reading something where there's been a change in the government policy on FAR pricing. That's kind of increased in the MMR area. Now that causes a lot of blips and ups and downs that happens. There's been some going back and forth on the G+4 policy on where that kind of constructions allows on low rise housing. So a little bit of consistency and long term play of policies will also obviously help in assuaging and making sure that some of these things are people are more reassured and on what's going to happen in the long term, and that will have an impact on pricing as well. Sorry, but I just wanted to add that. Thanks.
No, yeah, sure. I agree with you. Coming to Siddharth, your views on this topic as to what incentives can the central government or state government help in achieving this affordability solution?
It's great to hear Mr. Karan and Mr. Professor Rakesh. So, see, earlier also I spoke about we've been hearing government having programs of Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, housing for all, and all that. So these are the schemes, right, which government have been supporting, and also in terms of subsidy and GST and all, right, for lower and middle income. If you buy home or budget homes, you get a GST subsidy as well. Now. One more panel spoke about, and Karan spoke about green efficiency, construction optimization, all that. I think that is where the key is, because if as a developer we have a efficient construction development process of prefab, or emphasizing on the green sustainability development, and also on the smart homes. If we optimize as a developer all these things, I think it will have a better impact in lowering the price. In addition to this, I think Telangana government has, because I was reading some article that Telangana government is supporting both in terms of programs, like in addition to the central government program, they have also come up with program like 2 BHK program, where they are providing budget homes to all lower and middle income people, and not by just having program, they're also giving tax breaks. They also, my panel spoke about subsidy in terms of registration and stamp duty. So Telangana government has taken some initiative on these aspects. In addition to this, they have also come out with, especially in micro market like Kokapet and all these markets, where they have come out with public-private partnership model to provide homes for affordable category and low income group. So these are the steps which I think government should take in addition to what as panelists and I totally agree with, working on the construction efficiency, which would help us to ease out the prices and provide more affordable housing and meet the demand and supply gap as well.
Thanks a lot. I'll come to Balaji now. Balaji, at Bangalore, how do you see the market going in the future, and any help you would require from the central or state government in achieving this objective of affordability?
I think Mr. Rakesh and Mr. Das happen to say that, the housing affordable sector lays within the organization, coming to your land parcels acquisitions at right amendment cost is one, and specific to Sopanik, if you look at, we are an organization, everything is built in-house, everything is made in-house, just to reduce the cost of the construction, to goes up in. So if you could amend, your own in-house policies accurately, I think that ballpark figure of putting the project under the affordable home sector plays a very vital role. Two, when it comes to Government of India or the Karnataka state government, have introduced several key measures and policies that support real estate developers, particularly in affordable housing sector. As Mr. Siddharth said, it is PMAY, your Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, one of the most impactful policies for affordable housing. The schemes provides the interest subsidies on home loans, as all are available, all are aware, and under the economical weaker section also, and low income group and your middle income group categories. I think all this three set of categories, your PMAY plays a vital role. And subsidies for builder projects are eligible for various subsidies and benefits under PMAY also, including access to cheaper loans and incentive for completing projects on time. So completing project on time plays a very, very vital role in a affordable home sector, to maintain the cost consistent till the beginning of the project and till the launch, and also see how better appreciation is passed. And other point is your affordable housing fund. The Government of India through National Housing Bank has set up an affordable housing fund to finance affordable housing projects. So this specific fund, long-term loans on a lower interest rates to developer, reduces their finance cost, them to pass savings to buyers as well. So, as Mr. Rakesh said, single window clearance, that also plays a very, very crucial loan on your approvals. Example, today in Bangalore, if you look at the number of launches have significantly, it has reduced to various parameters. That's something which is lacking, good number of inventories or good number of affordable homes coming into the market. In response to delays caused by complex regulatory process, that the single window clearance system for real estate projects has to be little, that needs to be high on a high note. The government of Karnataka has to look into it. However, Karnataka has taken steps to implement the system, which allows developers to obtain the faster approvals and clearance, cutting down on delay and cost. So that's a very key point. And the last point is reduction in stamp duty. The Karnataka government has reduced the stamp duty on affordable housing units. For properties costing between 20 lakhs to 35 lakhs, the stamp duty is reduced to 3%. And for properties below 20 lakhs is 2%. This lowers the overall cost of home buys, encouraging more people to invest in affordable homes.
Great. Thanks, Balaji, for those wonderful insights. That brings us to the end of this discussion. Thank you, gentlemen, for taking out time and joining us today. Great insights shared by all of you.
We learned a lot.
And hope to do this again.